You wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. The house is silent, but the noise inside your head is deafening. It isn't a voice, it's a sound. It's a rhythmic, mechanical ticking. For the last 30 years, that sound was in the background, easily ignored by the distractions of building a career, raising a family, and chasing the next promotion. But now, as you cross the threshold of 50, the clock has moved from the hallway to your bedside table. You realize, with a sudden jolt of adrenaline, that retirement is no longer a vague concept in a glossy brochure. It's no longer someday. It is the next chapter. And for someone who hasn't saved, 15 years feels as short as 15 minutes. And as you stare at the ceiling, you do the math one more time. You realize the gap between what you have and what you need is not a crack in the pavement. It is a canyon. You are 50 years old. You are at the summit of your professional life, but you feel like you are standing on a crumbling peak. You see the younger generation talking about early retirement and the FIRE movement, and you feel a strange, toxic mix of envy and bitterness. You followed the traditional path. You did exactly what society told you to do. You paid for the weddings. You funded the college tuitions. You bought the forever home in the prestigious neighborhood with a 30-year mortgage. You played the game, yet here you are, looking at a retirement balance that feels like a cruel joke compared to the cost of the life you've built. You feel a desperate urge to do something radical. You feel like you need a miracle. You feel like you need to throw a Hail Mary pass just to stay in the game before the whistle blows. But I am here to tell you that the Hail Mary is exactly what the system wants you to do. The financial industry thrives on the desperation of 50-year-olds. It wants you to take uncalculated risks. It wants you to chase the volatile moonshots because you feel like you've run out of time to build wealth the slow way. Today, we are going to shut down that panic. We are going to stop the ticking. I am going to show you why your 50s are not the end of the game, but the beginning of the sprint. We are going to execute a high-speed asset restructuring and trigger a set of legal wealth acceleration levers that the 2 5-year-olds don't even know exist. By the end of this video, you will have a wartime strategy to bridge a 20-year gap in less than a decade. We are moving from a posture of defense to a state of extreme precision offense. The first thing we must address is the most dangerous trap of the 50-something mind, the desperation gamble. When you feel like you are behind, your brain shifts from investor mode to gambler mode. You stop looking for quality and start looking for shortcuts. You start listening to tips about penny stocks, unproven crypto protocols, or high leverage real estate deals that promise to triple your money in 24 months. You feel like a standard 8% return is an insult because it won't get you to the finish line fast enough. This is exactly how people who worked for 30 years lose everything in their last 10. In the lab, we call this the desperate risk trap. At 50, you no longer have the luxury of a recovery decade. If you lose 50% of your capital now, you don't just lose money, you lose your autonomy, you lose your dignity. The system profits from your panic. It sells you high-fee accelerated products that only accelerate the bank's earnings while leaving you with all the risk. To win the sprint, you must do the opposite of what your panic is telling you. You must become more disciplined, not less. You must seek capital efficiency, not speculative luck. We aren't going to win by gambling on the unknown. We are going to win by re-engineering what you already own and optimizing the cash flow you already generate. This starts with the most radical move in the 50S playbook, the great asset arbitrage. For most people in their 50s, their largest asset is actually their biggest invisible liability. It's the family home. You've spent 20 or 25 years paying down a mortgage on a 4-bedroom house in a high-tax school district, but look around the house today. The bedrooms are empty, the kids are gone. You are heating and cooling rooms you haven't stepped into in 3 months. You are paying high property taxes to fund a school system your family no longer uses. You are sitting on a massive, illiquid pile of equity while your retirement account is starving for cash. The asset arbitrage is a psychological hurdle. not a mathematical one. If you sell that oversized status home and downsize into a high quality 2-bedroom condo or a smaller home in a lower tax jurisdiction, you do something miraculous for your balance sheet. You instantly convert dead equity into live capital. Imagine you have $400,000 in home equity. Right now, that money is doing nothing but sitting in bricks and mortar while you pay insurance and taxes on it. If you sell, move to a more efficient home, and invest that $400,000 into a diversified portfolio, you have just accomplished 10 to 15 years of traditional saving in a single afternoon. You are trading square footage you don't need for freedom you desperately do. This isn't losing your home. This is liquidating a liability to fund a life of sovereignty. Once we have unlocked that trapped capital, we move to the specific legal mechanism that the system keeps in the fine print. We call this the catch-up engine. If you live in a jurisdiction with structured retirement accounts, such as the 401k or IRA in the United States, the government has built a specific over 5-0 bypass. The IRS allows catch-up contributions that allow you to inject significantly more money into tax-advantaged accounts than someone in their 30s. Most people see the catch-up as a small optional bonus. I want you to see it as a high-velocity injection system. If you combine the capital unlocked from your asset arbitrage with the maximum catch-up contributions from your peak earnings salary, you are essentially creating a financial time machine. You are pouring high-octane gas on the fire of compounding interest at the exact moment when your income is at its absolute peak. But to make this engine roar, you have to implement the most brutal and necessary rule of the sprint, the total expenditure freeze. In your 40s, we talked about avoiding lifestyle creep. In your 50s, we are talking about something more aggressive, lifestyle contraction. You are currently in your highest earning years. Your seniority is at its peak. Your salary has never been higher. But this is also the era of empty nest syndrome, which often leads to revenge spending. You feel like you finally have the money to travel, buy the luxury SUV you've always wanted, or indulge in expensive hobbies to fill the silence of the house. The system encourages this. It wants you to celebrate your empty house by filling it with expensive, depreciating things. The sprint strategy requires you to do the unthinkable, live like you are 30 again. You keep your standard of living at a baseline level and you route every single dollar of your peak earning surplus into your catch-up engine. If you are earning $150,000 but living on $70,000, you are injecting $80,000 a year into the market. Over a decade of focused sprinting, with average market returns, that is over $1 million of new wealth created out of thin air. You aren't working harder, you are just being more efficient with the raw material of your labor. You are choosing to sacrifice a decade of luxury for 3 decades of absolute, unshakable sovereignty. We must also have a very difficult conversation about the tuition and family tax. This is the silent killer of the 50-something professional. We have been socially conditioned to believe that it is our moral obligation to fund 100% of our children's elite college education and help them with their first house down payments, even if it means emptying our own retirement accounts or taking on massive Parent Plus loans. This is a mathematical suicide mission that hurts the entire family in the long run. Listen to me very carefully. Your children can get a loan for college. You cannot get a loan for retirement. If you compromise your financial fortress in your 50s to pay for a prestigious degree for a 20-year-old, you aren't helping them. You are becoming a future financial liability to them. You are trading your independence for their 4-year experience. The greatest gift you can ever give your adult children is a parent who is financially self-sufficient and will never need to move into their spare bedroom. Be the bank of mom and dad only after your vault is full, not while it's still being built. Negotiate with the schools, find scholarships, choose state universities, or have them work part-time. Protect the sprint at all costs, because a broke parent is the heaviest burden a child can carry. Now, let's discuss the career pivot of the late starter. Many people in their 50s feel trapped in high-stress corporate roles because they believe they need the high salary to catch up. They are trading their physical and mental health for a paycheck, fearing that if they leave the grind, the sprint ends. But at 50, you have a weapon that no 5-year-old has: specialized intellectual capital. You have spent 30 years solving problems that others find impossible. You have a Rolodex of contacts and a database of what works and what doesn't. The strategy here is to transition from volume of work to value of insight. This might mean moving into high-ticket consulting, board advisory roles, or fractional leadership positions. By leveraging your expertise, you can often maintain or even increase your income while reducing the burnout rate of your physical time. If you can extend your peak earning window by just 5 years because you actually enjoy the work more, the impact on your final wealth number is exponential. 5 extra years of high-intensity contributions at age 60 is worth 10 years of saving at age 30. You are playing the long game with your mind, not your muscle. Your experience is the ultimate leverage. But there is a new risk we must account for: the longevity paradox. Modern medicine has created a new financial reality. If you reach age 65 today, there is a very high statistical probability that you or your spouse will live into your mid-90s. This means your retirement isn't a 10-year holiday. It is a 30-year second life. You are not just financing your old age, you are financing another entire lifetime. The 4% rule that worked for your parents is under immense pressure. In the lab, we account for this by shifting from wealth accumulation to income generation. As you sprint, you aren't just looking for a big number in a brokerage account. You are looking for assets that produce cash flow. This might include dividend-paying stocks, real estate, or business interests. The goal of the sprint is to reach a point where your lifestyle is funded by the harvest of your investments, not by selling the seeds. If you can build a portfolio that generates $50,000 a year in passive income, you have won the game regardless of how long you live. You aren't just outrunning a late start, you are outrunning the risk of outliving your money. As we implement these strategies, we must also rebuild your defensive wall. In your 20s, your primary defense was time. You could wait out any market crash. In your 50s, your primary defense is liquid reserves. The fake rich 50-year-old has a big house and a fancy car, but would be ruined by 6 months of unemployment or a 20% market drop. You must be the absolute opposite. You must have a cash position so strong that you can ignore the noise of the world. At this stage of the game, you need an emergency fund that covers 12 to 18 months of essential living expenses in a high-yield cash account. Why? Because it gives you the psychological leverage to stay invested when the market inevitably drops. In your 50s, a market crash feels like a personal attack. You see your retirement date slipping away in real time on your computer screen without a massive liquid buffer. You will panic, you will sell at the bottom, you will ruin the sprint. Your cash reserve is not lazy money. It is sanity insurance. It is the protective wall that allows your compounding engine to keep running even when the world is on fire. It allows you to be the calmest person in the room when everyone else is losing their heads. Let's talk about the tax drag. At 50, every dollar lost to inefficient tax planning is a dollar you don't have time to replace. You need to be ruthlessly efficient. This means utilizing health savings accounts, HSAs, as stealth IRA vehicles. It means understanding the tax loss harvesting rules. It means ensuring that your most tax-heavy assets are held in your tax-light accounts. The Matrix loves a messy tax return. It wants you to overpay because you are too busy to notice the leak. In the sprint, we plug every leak. A 2% gain in tax efficiency over 10 years can result in an extra $100,000 in your pocket at the finish line. That is $100,000 you didn't have to work for. We also have to address the status crisis of downsizing. When you sell the big house and drive the older car, people will talk. Your colleagues might wonder if you've had a professional setback. Your neighbors might look at your smaller condo with a sense of superiority. This is the ultimate test of the sprint. The fake rich stay in the matrix because they are addicted to the wow. They need the external validation of their peers to feel successful. To win the sprint, you must adopt the mindset of an understated sovereign. You must realize that the people whose opinions you are worried about are likely drowning in the same debt you are trying to escape. Their wow is a trap. Your boring is a fortress. There is an incredible power in being the person in the room who looks the least successful but has the most liquid capital. When you stop spending money to prove you have it, you finally gain the only thing money is actually good for: the ability to say no. No to the job you hate. No to the stress you don't need. No to the game you've already won. Let's go back to that 3 a.m. reflection. The ticking clock hasn't stopped, but the sound has fundamentally changed. It no longer sounds like a countdown to a financial disaster. It sounds like a metronome for a high-performance athlete. It is the steady, rhythmic pulse of a plan in motion. You are no longer looking at your age as a handicap or a source of shame. You see it as the era of your greatest leverage. You understand that while you started the serious journey late, you are finishing with a level of intensity and precision that others simply cannot match. You have executed the asset arbitrage. You have moved your equity from the theater of the neighborhood to the vault of the market. You have engaged the catch-up engine. You have looked the Hail Mary in the eye and walked away, choosing the cold precision of the lab over the desperate luck of the casino. You have stopped paying the tuition tax on your future freedom and started building a legacy of actual self-sufficient strength. You are no longer a victim of time. You are a master of capital. You see the people you went to high school with posting photos of their new boats and their expensive country club memberships. In the past, this would have triggered a wave of inadequacy. But now you see through the matrix. You know they are illiquid. You know they are one interest rate hike, one medical emergency, or one corporate restructuring away from a total life collapse. They are running on a treadmill that is about to stop. You, on the other hand, are becoming light. You are shedding the dead weight of status symbols and replacing it with the density of capital. You are moving toward the finish line, not with a whisper of hope, but with a roar of certainty. The sprint isn't about being cheap or living small. It's about being sovereign. It's about ensuring that the second half of your life is defined by your choices, your values, and your curiosity, not by your bills and your obligations. It's about reaching 65 and realizing you don't have to retire, but you could leave the office forever tomorrow if you wanted to. That is the ultimate power. That is what the 50S sprint is designed to deliver. You are buying back your life at the very moment when you finally have the wisdom to know how to live it well. The Matrix wants you to believe that if you didn't start at 20, you've already lost. It wants you to stay in the desperation trap so it can sell you more debt and more high-fee products. But the math doesn't lie. Intensity can replace time. Volume can overcome a late start. If you are 50 and you are broke, you aren't finished, you are just at the starting block of the most important race of your life. So here is your action plan for the next 48 hours. First, perform the dead equity audit. Open a real estate app, look at your home, be brutally honest. Is it an asset or a gilded cage? Calculate exactly how much cash would be in your hand if you sold it today and bought something half the size. That number is your escape velocity. Second, log into your retirement portal, check the catch-up contribution box, maximize it until it actually hurts your monthly budget. If it doesn't hurt, you aren't sprinting. Finally, look at your I deserve it expenses. Every time you are about to say those words, ask yourself, do I deserve this luxury item, or do I deserve the right to never take an order from a boss again for the rest of my life? Now, I want to hear directly from you. We are building a community of late starters who refuse to accept defeat. What is the one asset or expense in your life right now that is dead weight, something you are holding on to just for the optics, but you know is holding back your sprint? Is it the oversized house? the luxury car lease, the country club membership? Name it in the comments. Be specific. By naming the weight, you begin the psychological process of dropping it. If this video gave you the clarity and the courage to start your sprint today, subscribe to the channel and share this with a friend who is lying awake at 3 a.m. They need to know that the clock hasn't run out. Remember, your age is a mathematical fact, but your financial fear is a lie. The sprint starts the moment you decide to run. Your income is a choice. My name is Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.